Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Ring Whalen.
And I'm Rutherford B. Crazy.
And that's one you just came up with?
No, I had the geniuses over at Sunny in Philadelphia came up with that gem a few seasons ago.
It's funny you say that. I was doom scrolling on Instagram on lunch today, and a clip of Glenn Howard on Late Night with Seth Meyers showed up, and he was talking about how, like, I guess he was moving houses, and he's married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he and his wife had hired these like three girls to help them like organize everything, and they found like a Brita picture signed by Danny DeVito, and they were like, who signed this, what is this? And he was like, oh, DeVito, wow. And he was like, it became like so apparent they had no idea who I was, which is fine. And he was like, but they were so like flummoxed, like, why do you have something signed by Danny DeVito? And they're like, well, what do you want us to do with this? And he's like, oh, you can just throw it away, it's fine. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, Danny's a friend, I see him all the time.
Yeah,
like, and it just, I don't know. Yeah, it just made me like, it's just kind of funny that you would use something from It's Always Sunny, and I saw something from It's Always Sunny today.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new season. I think that's coming up soon. Because their first episode's going to be their side of the Abbott Elementary crossover. That's going to be really fun.
It won't be ABC friendly.
No.
Which that's going to be really funny to see, like the cast of Abbott kind of bringing it down to like their level. Yeah, I need to actually just sit and watch It's Always Sunny. I started to, and then I just stopped. Yeah. I showed Ashley a video of like someone taking the 2 seasons when Rob McElhenney like changed his appearance.
Yeah.
Like when he gained all the weight and then lost it all again.
Yeah.
And Ashley was like, why did he do that? I'm like, just cause he was like, it would be really funny if Mac gains all this weight and then gets just absolutely shredded.
Yeah, he said that for the gaining weight, he was just like, people tend to get better looking as shows keep going, and I wanted people to get worse looking, and so it'd be funny if like one of the characters just got really fat, Yeah. Yeah, and then the next season it was all gone. And then like a couple of seasons after that, he got shredded, dude. It was crazy. And then of course it's the butt of the joke because like he gets really shredded and like no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And he keeps trying to bring it up in conversation and just no one cares. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's Always Sunny is just, it's so crazy that show's been on the air for as long as it has.
I know. Thank God,
Speaking of shows that I'm really looking forward to, I don't know if you saw a trailer for this show called Adults that's going to be premiering on Hulu.
Oh yeah, I follow one of the guys on TikTok. That's on
Jack Inneman.
Probably, he's got the mustache.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram, and he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that he was going to be in a show, I'm like, well, I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
And it's being executive produced by Nick Kroll, who I love.
Right.
And saw the trailer and I was like, all right, yeah, this will be good. At least I hope it's good. It's one of those FX on Hulu shows like The Bear, so the whole season's gonna be up. But I feel like Nick Kroll wouldn't have put his name on it if it wasn't good.
I mean that's obviously subjective because that depends on how you feel about Nick Kroll in the first place.
That's true. That's true.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it. I showed Ashley, and she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that."
Cool.
I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Now we'll have a new show to watch because that premieres pretty soon, actually.
Okay.
And The Last of Us is ending, so we're gonna need a new show to watch.
Yeah. We have been unsuccessfully trying to, because I watched the first 2 episodes of the show, and I really liked it. And I didn't think Haley would care at all about it, and then she sent me a video of like the trailer for the new season. She goes, "Hey, this looks good. Maybe we can watch it."
Uh-huh.
Poker Face on Peacock, and Ryan Johnson's show, and it's great. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, Russian Doll.
No. Poker Face.
Oh, right.
So
Russian Doll's the Netflix show.
Russian Doll's the Netflix show with Natasha Lyonne, and I could listen to Natasha Lyonne talk forever. So I'm in. And we've just been unsuccessfully trying to even just finish the first episode, just because, like last night we had that horrible storm, and then like the time before, like she was just trying to work and she couldn't really pay attention to it, and so it's but we're trying. So.
Yeah, man. There's so many shows. I need to finish Severance. I started Severance, which holy Jesus.
Yeah, man. Severance is amazing.
Yeah, Ben Stiller. I know I said it. I know I texted it to you when I started watching Severance, but dude, I love that comedians will cross over into a genre that they're unfamiliar with. Mm. And I love that Ben Stiller has given us this drama, sci-fi, thriller.
My concept, it's really good.
The last episode I remember watching was, is her name, is it pronounced Hetty? It's been so long. Helly. She hung herself.
I think it's like the second.
Or her outie. Her outie hung herself.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. But there's so much TV, dude. I gotta watch fucking Succession.
Yeah.
Fucking
Succession's great.
Dude, so much TV, and I'm clearly stalling because I'm very worried that this episode is not going to be very long.
It's
But with that being said, well, everyone, if you tuned in last week, which you did, shocking, American History X is so far our highest viewed episode on YouTube. Now, I don't know if that means everyone watched the whole thing, which I would hope they did. I felt like we had a really good discussion about hate and intolerance. But if you did tune in and watch the whole episode or listen to the whole episode, then you'll know what we're talking about this week. But if you don't, this week we are discussing the film that was co-written and directed by the lead singer of the Talking Heads, David Byrne, True Stories. So in my little tease of this movie last week, I said that you told me that this movie was fucking crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And
it makes little to no sense.
And I was like, I know David Byrne is very eccentric. I mean, just look at the suit he wore for Stop Making Sense. But I was like, yeah, I think it'll be fine. And yeah, almost 10 minutes in, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Now, it's not to say I didn't like the movie. I'm going to bring this up now. I didn't dislike the movie. I loved it. I loved how weird it was. I love how eccentric it was. It felt like David Lynch, but without all the spooky stuff. Like if Lynch were to make, had he still been alive, rest in peace, King.
Yeah.
But had he just said, like, you know what, I want to make a comedy, but no spooky stuff, and it's kind of a musical, but not really.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what this was. Now, you obviously had seen it before, right?
Yes, I had seen it before.
What was your first take on it when you saw it the first time?
I didn't know what to expect. I was already familiar with the Talking Heads and David Byrne. I think David Byrne is... I think he might be a genius. I don't know. I mean, he's either crazy or he's a genius. and I love the Talking Heads, and so I was talking to my buddy Shep. It's Millie College, so shout out to Shep. And he was telling me that True Stories is very, very good. And I was like, okay, great. I'll check it out, And I watched it probably a few days later. And I was like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know what's going on. Because, there are moments in the movie that I really, really like. There are moments in the movie where I just don't know what's going on. There are moments in this movie where I'm of course, my brain, I'm just trying to piece together some sort of cohesion, right? And of course, that's not the point. I'm not supposed to be saying this connects with this, and this is the overall story of True Stories. That's really not the point of True Stories. It's my understanding that David Byrne just read some human interest story articles about these interesting people, and he thought that it would be, it would be cool to explore these people in this fictional town, and yeah, I mean, a woman who is so wealthy that she never gets out of bed because she doesn't have to. I mean, that's sort of bizarre. A guy who's just so desperate for a wife that he puts out ads on TV. He does internet dating, which at the time was very, very new. He is just so obsessed with the idea of finding his soulmate. That seems really interesting, and it ended up being very interesting. I'm not sure what all was based on these human interest stories and what all was in the movie. I think the most shocking revelation of watching the movie for the first time was Stephen Tobolowsky wrote this movie. If you are unfamiliar with who that is, Stephen Tobolowsky is a character actor that you have seen a million times. He is Ned Ryerson in Groundhog Day. He is, if those of you who are fans of the Goldbergs, he's the principal in the Goldbergs. For me, it's Ned Ryerson all the way. For how I know Stephen Tobolowsky, but
right. I looked up a picture.
Right. So exactly, you have to you have to say him because he's a very prominent character actor, but of course that's sort of the stereotype of character actors. You don't know their names, but I was shocked. I was like, "What is happening?" That also kind of makes no sense,
Yeah.
And it's just weird, but it's charming and it's very lighthearted, and I think David Byrne is just such an odd. I don't, not in any sort of negative way. I just, his monologues in the car are kind of so bizarre and interesting, and just it just doesn't connect. These are just non sequiturs. The movie is just full of,
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm not really going to give a synopsis because there's not one. Everyone. So the basic thing about this movie that you need to understand, I guess this would be the synopsis, is a stranger comes to the town of Virgil, Texas. The stranger, of course, played by David Byrne, who breaks the fourth wall, who talks directly to the audience, but also interacts with characters. It's just like we've been saying, just kind of witnessing these people's lives in this fictional town, Virgil, Texas, as they celebrate the celebration of specialness for the 150th anniversary of Texas's independence. And that's really about it. I mean, there are some reoccurring characters here and there, like John Goodman's character, Lewis. As Jeremy said, he's trying to find his wife. He is so obsessed with trying to find his soulmate that, honestly, John Goodman steals the show. I fucking love John Goodman.
Yep.
I mean, that's why he's on the cover of the Criterion.
Yeah.
There is, of course, Spalding Gray.
Yep.
Playing the I don't remember his character's name, but
Earl.
He's the civil pioneer. He's apparently responsible for most of the things that this town has, like its mall, and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just full of eccentric characters, very David Byrne. The dialogue is very stilted. But yeah, so there's not really much of a synopsis to give. sorry, Zach. But all in all, that's True Stories. Which, of course, the full title, which I love that Criterion puts it on the top of the box, is True Stories about a bunch of people in Virgil, Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really don't know where to begin. I guess we could begin with David Byrne writing, directing, and starring as sort of, I guess, our main character.
I guess so. He's credited as both the narrator and the lip syncer because he in the Wild Wild Life sequence, in like this weird wig and mustache, that I very much appreciate. Probably my favorite sequence because it's probably my favorite song in the movie. Is Wild Wild Life. Yeah, David Byrne is, just introducing us to Virgil, Texas, and just Texas in general. This character seems to have a soft spot for the Lone Star State, which is, where we live.
Well, and it's also interesting because David Byrne is British, so
British adjacent.
Yeah,
I guess. But
is he not? Did I just?
No,
did I just?
It said he was born in Scotland, so.
Okay.
But I guess living it's so long, I guess.
Yeah,
because he doesn't
with the. Yeah, well, I was gonna say with the last name like Byrne.
Yeah,
it's very Scottish. So anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, he seems to have the soft spot for Texas, and it was filmed in Allen and in Dallas. I live like less than a mile away from Allen, so Allen is just right over there. So that was kind of cool. It looks nothing like that anymore, but it's okay. And I don't know, like it's I enjoy just the presentation of it all. I like that there are moments where he's obviously not driving, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously rear projection, and there's one scene where he's just wildly moving the steering wheel.
Yes. I laughed so hard at that because he's like doing this with the steering wheel, like he's hitting bumps. And I think he says something about how like the drive is really nice. And he's like, and he looks at the camera and he's like, yeah, the drive is really nice. And like,
and then like I said earlier, there's just these non sequiturs about like the architecture of Virgil and the boom of the metal buildings for businesses, and the fact that they come prefab, that was kind of funny. I don't know, like bizarre. And I like that he interacts with the characters, like he's, talking with John Goodman, he's talking with Lewis, he's going to see Earl and his wife Kay, and having dinner with them. That was also another human interest story where he read about this couple that hasn't really spoken to one another in
a year.
That's insane. And it didn't seem like there was any animosity. They just didn't talk to each other,
using the kids as dialogue. You tell your mother. That made me also laugh so hard. Like, tell your father that it went really well. There was a little bit of an accident, and the daughter's just like, she said it was great. I'm gonna be honest. It made me think of the scene in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire of Hermione being like, I'm not an owl. But no, it's so funny. These non sequiturs are so funny. And I read that it's supposed to be a dark comedy, but I'm like, this is really funny.
Yeah, I don't know how like it's saying it's a quote dark comedy. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Because it's like it's nothing like there's nothing sinister going on. You know,
there's
I mean, I guess if you want to say it's darkly comedic in like just a deadpan way, like it's not being outwardly funny. It's being quirky and eccentric, and that's where the comedy lies. Is just in the eccentricities of these people that live in the town. Yeah, like the woman who lies all the time, and people know that she's lying, and they're just going along with it. Like they don't have the time or the patience to just sit down and tell her that she's lying. You know?
Yeah, and and a lot like Lewis, she's the character that pops up in almost every single vignette. As well. Lewis, I think all except for the puzzling evidence vignette, he pops up in every single one too. But yeah, so I mean, like I said in the whatever I just gave instead of a synopsis, there are reoccurring characters that do sort of have kind of an arc.
Yeah.
Like Lewis, like we mentioned, Lewis taking out ads, trying online dating.
And Ramon also is in several of these sequences as well. I don't know if this is true. Okay. I guess it could be. That Radiohead got their name from the song he sings. Radiohead. I don't know if that's true. It both sounds untrue and very true. I don't know if like Tom York is just like a big David Byrne fan. I don't know. I don't know if he saw this movie and then, like that's a great band. Like that's what we're gonna that's what we're gonna use. It's very
possible. Yeah, he's gonna end up on Good Band Name, Bad Band Name.
Exactly. But yeah, so like Ramon is very interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The through line, I guess, is Lewis. Is him trying to find a soulmate and also prepare for the talent show at the end of the week. And the talent show is also this looming presence because we get these, by the way, stunning shots of the bare landscape and then the stage slowly being built up over time as we keep cutting to this same landscape. And I think those shots are just gorgeous. It's nice when you get a cinematographer, and this cinematographer's worked with a bunch of people. He's like a legend, bro. Like this guy is working with like Todd Haynes and hang on, I can tell you more people in a minute. Soderbergh and there's a whole bunch of other people. Like he's good, right? And I like when people film Texas in a nice way. Because I think when people when people talk about, especially where we're from, West Texas, it's sort of like, it's the desert kind of, but not really, not like how you're thinking of it. And it is very flat, right? I think this guy's done a phenomenal job. Edward Lankman? I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. I think the only other person that's done an incredible job with the Texas landscape, there's a lot of examples, but the one that comes to my mind, and a more recent example, would be whomever was working with Tom Ford for Nocturnal Animals. In Texas like that, yeah. So it's weird to have these juxtaposed sequences where we have these strange moments with the townsfolk, and then we cut to this gorgeous shot of this landscape and this stage being built up around it. And remember, it's prefab. The stage. They don't have to fabricate anything. It's already, it comes. They just have to put it together.
Yeah. and it was almost sort of like we were getting an encyclopedia knowledge of useless information,
Yeah.
like again with the prefab buildings, just the whole like, yeah, just you pick them out of catalog, just tell them what square footage you need, and then there you go, stick a sign out front. Anyway, dude, it made me laugh so hard, but I also at the same time was like, what the fuck is happening? um but again, like I said at the top show, it's not to say I didn't like it, because I loved everything about it, especially yeah, the lip syncing of Wild Wild Life, which, so I'm a fairly new fan of the Talking Heads, but I'd heard that song before, and you may be mad at me, you may not, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my god, I know that song. It was the opening song in Open Season with Martin Lawrence. Yeah. Yeah, with Martin Lawrence and Ashton Kutcher. I love that movie, by the way. I know probably critics hated it, but I think that movie's so funny.
I haven't seen it.
I think Ashton and Martin Lawrence have great chemistry together, even though they never met until the press tour, because it was when they were having the actors in different booths. Anyway, we're not talking about that. But no, I did really love the Wild Wild Life sequence, because I thought it really, I mean, the whole movie is definitely a snapshot into David Byrne's brain, but I feel like that sequence in particular really like kind of showed who David Byrne is. That you have all these rotating people coming up and lip syncing to his song essentially, but so many things are so strange, especially like the Spalding Gray sequences are so strange.
Yeah, Spalding Gray, I imagine that, I'm sure this isn't true, but I imagine he had it memorized in probably 15 minutes, because this is what he's known for, is just giving monologues. I didn't understand his monologue. Let's let that be perfectly that I don't understand what he's talking about. I think the economics of the town of Virgil, maybe, and how
I think
it's connected with one another, and the businesses, and the townsfolk, and the whatever, the agriculture, whatever. I don't know. I appreciated the presentation.
Using the lobster and the pepper.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that David Byrne's like, I'm sorry, Earl, what do the peppers represent again? Yeah, dude. And I feel like David did not have to do much to pitch this to Spalding Gray. Because you're right. I mean, shout out to Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
A whole movie where he just gives a monologue. Which you've seen, I have not.
It's fantastic.
I may switch out another one of my movies for that, because it's been sitting on my shelf in my Criterions.
It's fantastic. Spalding Gray he's a monologuist. Did you even know that was a thing?
Yeah.
And that's just what he does. So there are other ones on YouTube you can watch too, which I recommend. But he was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised to see Spalding Gray, because I liked that he's not putting on an accent either. Like, he's just from New York. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he's not trying to do a Texas twang or anything like that.
No, although Annie McEnroe, who is his wife, Kay, who you may have recognized, she's the realtor in Beetlejuice.
Oh my god, she's Jane.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
She's the reason Adam and Barbara get killed.
That's right. Her hair is just perfect 80s Texas.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. The only piece of comment that Haley gave while she was sitting next to me watching the movie was during her song. She was like, I just heard her go, "Ugh, she's terrible."
Well, so I thought after the Wild Wild Life sequence, I thought, because I had read that this was, a pseudo musical kind of thing. I thought it was going to be everyone just lip syncing to the Talking Heads.
Sure. That's fair.
And then she starts singing, and I was like, oh, okay, it was just the Wild Wild Life sequence then.
Yeah, Wild Wild Life, and then we get the advertisement one.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's it just for David Byrne and the Talking Heads, which is a shame because I really do love the Talking Heads, but whatever.
I'm sure somewhere deep down he was probably like, well, like we're definitely going to be using our music, but we should probably let other people, probably sing our songs, I guess, the Beatles are going to do it in 20 years, so it's fine.
That's right.
And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, didn't I tell you I can see into the future?
I wouldn't be surprised.
That was an Across the Universe reference, by the way. That's another movie I genuinely really love. Anyway, it's really hard to talk about this movie. I was telling everyone at work, I was like, man, I really worry that I bit off more than I could chew. And they're like, why? I'm like, 'cause this movie's just so hard to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, like you said, I think that's the point. I don't think David Byrne was really wanting audiences to walk away from this movie being like, oh man, like the symbolism. I think he was just like, hey, look at these just kind of odd people in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. Odd people all from different walks of life, living in this small town. We even get some voodoo. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Liked that. Which also is sort of like a non sequitur. Like it kind of comes out of nowhere. Like,
yeah,
Lewis like so desperate he'll try anything. Poor Lewis, I guess. I do like that he matches the aesthetic in his clothing for every woman he's seen with. It becomes really apparent when he goes to the cute girl's house, and he is in pastel blue and pink, and so is everything else in the house.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, and I love that he drives a bright green Gremlin, too.
It's a cool car.
Yeah. I only know that that's the name of the car because of Wayne's World, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, and I love also that Lewis also he breaks the fourth wall. And when we first meet him and talks directly to camera, I think he's the only character besides, of course, David Byrne who does that.
I think you might be right.
Which again makes me wonder if Lewis is our main character secretly,
Yeah. I think he might be. I mean, it makes sense to me.
But yeah, so speaking of the cinematography, I know we've been all over the place with this episode, but that's it kind of fits with the movie. The movie's all over the place. Speaking of the cinematography, excuse me, you're right that the cinematography is truly gorgeous with the landscape shots, but also I really love when they kind of do those wonders with David, like in the mall, where David Byrne's just walking right in front of the camera and, talking and pointing things out, I was really impressed with it for 1986.
Yeah. Yeah, his outfits were also crazy a little bit. Especially when they go to the parade and he and Lewis are wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he even brought it up. But you're right. I mean, the camera work is great in this movie. It's a strange movie, but it's done very well. It's not like... It seems like someone who has this really crazy idea, but is executing it professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, like, I was reading Roger Ebert's review, And I'd also read this little tidbit on the IMDb trivia that there are 50 sets of twins in the movie. Okay? 50.
Okay.
And really, we only see one or two sets of twins, which gives me the, like, which Roger Ebert said, you know, like the only person that makes any sense to is David Byrne. And the only person who would find that necessary and interesting is David Byrne, because David Byrne's not like, yes, there are 50 sets of twins, but they're not together. Like, I'm sure he split them up, you know? And it's like, but why? You know? Like, what's the point of that? And it's just funny. Like, they pointed out in the mall, you know, like, oh, look, twins, right? I go, oh, that's interesting, you know? And that's it, you know? Yet, there are 50 sets of them. There are 100 twins in this movie. And we are only aware of one set, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why? You know, it's... Roger Ebert also said that the actors almost seem like they're just trying to appease the crazy, eccentric director behind the camera. Like, they're acting in such bizarre ways and in such weird circumstances, and you get the feeling that the actors are sort of like, is that it? Is that what... Did I do it? And it's like, yep. You know.
Yep.
Exactly what it...
It does make me wonder, though, why David Byrne never did another movie after this, you know?
Good question.
This would have been a good one for your one and done last season.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely... But then we wouldn't be able to do it now.
That's true. But I do also find it interesting that the movie was produced by Warner Brothers, which... Holy Jesus.
I agree.
But the fact that they let... Of course, I did read it was because of the success of Stop Making Sense, that they let David Byrne have full creative control.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Of course.
Like, if they had... If he was getting a lot of oversight, I feel like the movie wouldn't have been as... I'll use the term memorable. I feel like the movie wouldn't have been as memorable had he had a lot of oversight. But the fact that he had none and got to do whatever he wanted, I think...
Yeah.
One, of course, really speaks volumes to the popularity of the Talking Heads and Stop Making Sense. And two, proves that you need to let David Byrne be David Byrne.
Sure. Yeah. Because it obviously works, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird. And, you know, like, he'll be talking to Spalding Gray one moment about zoning or whatever they were talking about.
Yeah.
And, you know, a neighborhood construction. And then these kids come out of nowhere and sing a song. Literally, I mean, for seemingly no reason. I don't remember... I'm trying to remember, like, the lyrics to the song that they sang to see if it was, like, significant in any sort of way, and I'm sure it is. But yeah, and then they sing their song, and then they walk away, and it's over, and it's done, and then we move on to the next thing. Is sort of how the whole movie feels.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly... It's truly fascinating.
Yeah.
The things that David Byrne was able to get away with, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a director now, unless the movie was made by like A24 or Neon, wouldn't have been able to get away with, like, this is what I'm gonna have the actors do. This movie's gonna have no plot. I feel like if Warner Brothers were to make that movie today, they'd be like, what are you talking about? There has to be a plot, you know?
Yeah.
But I think this is another one of those, and I'm not saying this as an excuse, but like this was perfect for 1986.
Sure.
You know, like almost like to use it's a product of its time, but in a good context, because like in terms of the movie itself, it probably would not have gotten made today. It works perfectly with the popularity of the Talking Heads because, of course, 2 years later they're going to put out their final album, and it is sort of like a prologue to the Talking Heads. You know, not really disbanding, but just saying like, yeah, we're done. You know. But
yeah, Roger Ebert also called them an avant-garde rock band. And I don't know if I would describe them that way. Maybe in their presentation, but not in their music. Their music is, I mean, there's, I don't think it's very avant-garde.
No, yeah, I would definitely say their music is very straightforward.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's very good. The lyrics can be up for interpretation, and David Byrne has a very distinct style. But I think musically, I mean, there's nothing strange about it necessarily. Maybe the composition itself or the organization, maybe. But even then, no. I mean, if you want to say like Stop Making Sense is sort of avant-garde because they're adding instruments with every song, which means the first one is just him and the guitar, and then they'll add someone else at the next song and someone else at the next song. That's, I guess, sort of avant-garde, I suppose. But Ebert's wrong on that one, I think. I think he saw the movie and he's just like, oh my god. He gave it a 4.5. I mean, a 3.5. So I mean, it's not like he hated it, and he liked it a lot.
That's pretty high praise for Ebert.
Yeah, because it's unique. It's completely original. I mean, it's like David Byrne is not taking inspiration from anyone but him. Like, this is his vision. But yeah. Yeah. I was looking at other stuff that David Byrne has directed. It's mostly Talking Head music videos.
Yeah. I've warned you knew this, but off mic I warned Ashley. I was like, man, this episode's gonna be like 45 minutes.
I mean, like, I guess we could talk about like Lewis's journey, because I mean he is our main character and he is our through line. I don't know if I think you're right. I don't think he's in Puzzling Evidence.
No, if he is in the church somewhere, I didn't see him.
Yeah, I didn't notice him either if he was. Yeah, him just going on these dates with these very interesting women. He's a very interesting person in and of himself. Do I like Lewis? Maybe he's very odd.
I mean,
he's very strange.
Yeah.
He's very confident. I think maybe to a fault. He's a little too confident.
Yeah.
I laughed when he said that he keeps his body in a consistent panda bear shape, which made me laugh.
Yeah. And then of course, he ends up marrying Susie Kurtz.
Yeah.
For those of you who remember our Rules of Attraction episode, she was in Rules of Attraction. No, dude, no one remembers that episode. But yeah, man, this movie is just so. I mean, again, I really enjoyed it. I was really hoping Ashley would watch it with me, but she was like, "We've been playing." I think I've told you, or maybe I haven't. We've been playing a game called Baldur's Gate, and so Ashley was like deep into her game while I'm like watching the movie. And I would occasionally see her kind of like look up, and then she's like back to her game.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the movie is as if you are half paying attention to a movie. You look up, and then you see something, and then you go, okay, and then you look up, and it's a completely different thing, and it doesn't seem to be connected to the thing before. You're like, and then you keep doing what you're doing. Then you look up again. That is sort of what the movie feels like, in a weird way. Again, not in a bad way. I do enjoy this movie. I think that it's sort of a fun little snapshot of very strange, but charming cinema. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just David Byrne. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I agree. Yeah. I feel like we've been wrapping up for a while now.
I don't want to, because I feel like I need to give this movie its time and its respect, and it's like describing this movie to someone makes you sound insane. I don't. It's also I tried so hard because Haley was taking a nap on the couch, and after she fell asleep, I go, "Oh, it's Monday." I didn't work today, so I didn't know what day it was. I was like, "Oh, it's Monday," which means the rehearsal is out. The new episode, I can put that on. And she woke up with when I was watching it, and she goes, "Oh, what is this?" And I was like, "Huh." Describing the rehearsal to people is hard. Because, you know what I mean? It's impossible without sounding completely insane. And so I tried my best, but it's sort of like how this movie is, and I'm like, I don't know, it's this, and it's this, but it also isn't. I don't know,
Well, I definitely feel like we've given this movie its fair shake. I mean, we both pretty much have said it's great. It's just it's hard to talk about because, again, it's it is almost trying to dissect David Byrne's mind.
It feels so out of place, but so real at the same time. I think that we have these people like John Goodman, for instance. His song isn't very good. His singing isn't very good, but it's believable, and and there's something to that. We also know people that are lazy, right? We know people that tend to stretch the truth a bit, maybe not to that extent, right? But it's all and I like that most of them work for Texas Instruments. Not out of the realm of possibility. I also don't live very far away from Texas Instruments, the main office. So, again, not out of the realm of possibilities. It's a huge company, and it employs a lot of people. It's just, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know what to say. Besides,
I think that's a good place to end it on.
Jesus.
I mean, look, I think the movie's great.
Yeah.
If I know we don't say it a lot in a lot of our movies, but definitely I think everyone should give this movie a shot. I mean, we did our best.
Yeah.
Once you see it, you'll be like, "Oh,
I get it."
Yeah.
Hopefully
they did. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be like, "Yeah, they did their best." Yeah. I get it. I know you don't want to end it there, buddy, but I think it's best that we probably end it there.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, buddy, what are we talking about next week? Because I'm kind of nervous.
Are you?
You said you said you may not have a good one,
and who knows? Yeah, I saw a video about this movie a week ago, and I go, oh yeah, that is really good, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it, and I think they should. So I guess I should start with a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know who Phil Tippett is?
The name sounds familiar.
It's okay if you don't.
I feel like you've mentioned him once before.
Phil Tippett is the founder and the namesake of Tippett Studios. He has worked on... Don't look it up. He has worked on Jurassic Park, RoboCop, Star Wars. He's a stop-motion animator. Okay.
Okay.
Right? Well, in his spare time, in between projects, he would work on one of his own, right? And believe it or not, it took him 30 years to make this movie, okay? It is truly one of a kind. It is truly fantastic to look at because it is someone who is proficient in what they do and passionate about what they do. This should be the prime example of what a passion project is because he just did it on his own time. And, you know, it is, again, incredible to look at. So next week we are discussing Phil Tippett's Mad God. Yeah. Yeah, it took him forever to do it, but he was kind of doing it on his own. And for someone to spend the time to make a stop-motion animated film just when they have the time is truly what passion means, because stop-motion animation is impossible. So...
Yeah, you gave me a bootleg of this.
Well, I didn't know that
unfortunately,
Shudder was going to release
an official version.
Yeah, and they did. I have the Steelbook. It's the only copy that they made was the Steelbook edition, and I haven't done it.
Yeah, I unfortunately that did not survive the move.
That's okay.
So I no longer have that. But I remember hearing about this movie and then seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is this movie? I'm going to be real. All I knew was it was a horror. That's all I knew what it was.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know why I'm doing these back to back, but this also doesn't really have a discernible plot. But it's really interesting, and I mean the techniques and just the visuals of all of it is just so fantastic, and you're just looking at it, you're just like, oh my god, like what is this, you know? And it's just cool. I don't know, it's a cool movie, and it is a horror movie. There are scary parts, and you know, things are just sort of like off-putting and creepy and gross and scary and interesting. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to watch this. It probably won't be on the main TV. That's 100% for sure. Haley will not survive that, and Maya won't enjoy it. I doubt it. But yeah, man, Mad God. I saw it probably when it came out on Shudder because I was really excited about it. And I was just in awe by it, you know?
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, as I've said numerous times on the show, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. So of course, I knew I recognized the name Phil Tippett. But
yeah, he's the AT-ATs move. Off. Yeah.
Yeah, because he worked with Dennis. I can't pronounce Dennis's last name, and they pretty much. Yeah, they're the reason ILM is the way it is now.
Yeah.
No, but cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Well, everyone, we really do. We hope you enjoyed this episode on True Stories, and we will see you next week for Mad God.